Hey everybody, Hunter back again from Showtime Studios. We're going to do part number 31 of the build tutorial. We have the lower body painted, which I just uploaded the video for that. We did all that over at the spray booth, straight out of the can with the Tamiya TS7, I think it is, Racing White, and everything's dried up now. Went back over it with a little section of 3000 grit sand and sponge just to knock the sheen off of it, to check and make sure that everything looked good, because we are going to put this in a coat of clear. But the one thing that I did notice about this color, and it actually done it on the lower body worse than it did it on the chassis. When I was assembling the chassis itself, I noticed that as I was spraying it out of the can, after it set a little bit, it wanted to pull away from the edges. Now, as all of you know that's watched the videos, I go back and try to roll all the edges and make them, nice and clean, and keep it from doing that. But some areas on the chassis, mainly up on top here where the body's going to go on, you're not going to see it anyway, is where it done it. Underneath, we don't really have any of those issues. But what I did run into was on the lower body on the fenders, like right here at these recesses around the headlights and right underneath the bottom edge of the headlight. The paint kind of pulled away and you can see through it and see the primer. So I know how to take care of that problem, but you do not do it with a spray can. What I'm going to do is, I'm almost out of paint in that can. I got a very little bit, so I couldn't finish this process today anyway. But what we're going to do is, I'm going to stop by the hobby store on Monday or Tuesday. Depends on what the weather does here on Monday. And I'm going to pick up another can of the Racing White. And what I will do is decant a little bit of that and spray it through the airbrush. And what I'll be spraying through the airbrush is, I'll put a mist coat down over top of everything that's here. And I have done that in the past, and it does work on these colors that tend, it's what I call bleeding, that want to bleed out like this. So if I put it in the airbrush and spray it real thin and spray it a little dry, it fills this in. Then when I go back over it with the can, it'll be nice, and it'll be one even solid finish. Um, and sometimes you'll have metallics that want to do that. They want to pull off the edges. But this Racing White is probably, other than yellow, is one of the worst ones that I've had for doing that so far. But no big deal. We're going to go back in, and it looks good now, for the most part, but it's a little bit too transparent in those valleys for me. As you can see, I mean, looking at it here, it looks pretty decent. It looks like it's all, white, but there's some areas that I'm just not happy with, like right down through that valley right there. You can see the primer. It has paint over top of it, but you can still see through the paint and see the primer. So that tells me that it pulled off the edges. But we'll do the airbrush trick on it. We'll do all that over at the spray booth. I'll show you how to fix that problem if you ever run into it. And then we'll put another coat across it with straight out of the spray can to seal everything down. And then after that dries up, we'll go on to our clear coat on the lower body. So that's what we have for that. And we'll probably go back over and spray another shot underneath of here. I'll hit it with the airbrush first. Probably underneath the body, I'll just do that with the airbrush around the wheel wells again, because it did want to pull away from those edges. So kind of strange, but that happens. That's one of those colors that just tend to do that. And it's not the first time I've run into it. It won't be the last, but luckily I know how to take care of it and how to fix it without having to strip this down or do anything stupid to it. So that's what we have on the lower body. And I've already got the dash and everything out. I got the dash assembly cleaned up. Now, I had a question come up on one of the videos in this series about whether the Tamiya panel line accent color will work for a dash. And the question, or the answer to that question, is yes, it will. And I went in and did a little bit of an experiment just on the bare plastic when this was still on the parts tree. And we'll hold it up here and let you get a view of it. All that is the bare kit plastic with the Tamiya panel liner put on it very lightly. and it does work very well. So what I'm going to do is this will all be sprayed with wooden deck tan from Tamiya is the color that I'm going to go with. And hopefully I'm going to spray it light enough so most of this will kind of show back through. But mainly it was just an experiment to see how clean all these little recesses and stuff were. And if after I painted it, I could go back with the Tamiya panel line accent and make it pop out like this. So I know we can do it now. So we'll get that all ready to go. This is actually ready to go in paint, but we'll be spraying it right here at the workbench. So stay tuned for that video, probably tomorrow. And I've already got the side panels out. I did some fitting on the lower part of the body for these panels. Everything's looking good there. A couple little issues I ran into, nothing major, but we'll touch on that in a later episode. And then tomorrow we'll also be cleaning up all the mold lines on the seats, which there is a fair amount of them on this set of seats, and a couple sink marks here and there that we'll be able to sand out. The face of the seat looks real good, so we don't have to do any work there. It's just on the sides. And then we also have a couple injector pin marks back here on the back. So we're going to get rid of those too. Shouldn't have to fill them or anything. They're a little recessed, but we should be able to sand that out because this is pretty thick kit plastic. So that's coming up tomorrow on the seats. And we'll probably do some more work on those interior panels, like I said. And other than that, we only got like the steering column, the steering wheel, the shifter, and that's pretty much it. This interior is pretty simple, really, I guess you could say. Now, once we get all the lower body and everything painted and get the clear coat done on it, we will be going in before we put the side panels on, and I'll be using this. It's more of a lavender colored flocking. I've had it for a long time, and I've never really had a build that I could use it on, but it goes good, real good with the Tamiya lavender that I'm using on the top part of the body. So we're going to use that down here on this floor pan, up the footrest here and around the bottom here, and that's all we're going to do. This back here is going to be wood with bare metal foil for the stainless trim, and then like I say, all this will be flocking here. And once we put the seats in, you won't see very much of that between the seats and the dash. So I'm going to go through the steps on how to do that. I already have a video on flocking, but we're going to do it right here on this build to show you how it came out and some of the things that I look for and the procedures that I do to turn out a decent looking flocking job on your simulated carpet. And the other thing that we're working on right now is everything on the hood looks pretty good. I've got to prime the underside of it yet, but I've already sanded this down with 3000 grit. It looks good. I think we're ready to go into paint as far as the hood. The body, I had those little sink marks right across the top edge of the cowl here. I went ahead and put a little bit of Tamiya white putty in those, and this will dry up overnight, and I'll go ahead and sand this down tomorrow. And I also had to go back in and do a little bit of filling back here on these mold lines at the rear. And I've got those sanded out now. And I'm going to shoot just a light coat of primer across that tonight just to see if I need any more fill work. If not, the only thing I'll have to do is sand this tomorrow. I'm going to put another mist coat of primer across the whole body. And if everything goes well, we will be painting these two pieces here tomorrow with the lavender straight out of the can from Tamiya. And hopefully I don't have any problems with that pulling off the edges. I shouldn't, because it's a darker color. And usually darker colors, you don't have that issue. But we shall see. So that's what we've got done so far. There's been a lot of comments come up, a lot of questions come up, a lot of interest in the videos, and that's cool. That's why we're, trying to do a very in-depth series that I've never done before. It is a difficult thing to do, trying to do this stuff live and not make mistakes, or mistakes where you can't really show, what you did. Like on the primer video that I done, I made a mistake on the editor and I lost the video, so I can't show you that part. But we're trying, and this is a test run. I'm sure we'll do some more in 2018, and basically from here on out, since as soon as I get this one under my belt and hopefully get my first street rod done, and then it should be a little bit easier from that point on. So again, I want to thank everybody for all the interest in the videos, and this will be the last one for tonight. Stay tuned tomorrow. We'll have some more coming up and hopefully get the body into paint. So that's all we got for now. As always, this is Hunter from Showtime Studios. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.